I built this in a matter of a weekend, drinking some wine while my husband was racing. And if somebody would have brought that to me and built it for me, I would have paid them $5,000 for it because I can use it as a lead generation tool. I built zero code, zero experience just by talking to the computer and it building it for me. You say, I want to build this, and here's the buttons that I want, here's the colors that I want, and I want it to be able to do this, and it just starts building it for you just by you talking.
Krista, how are you doing today? Good to see you.
Good, Joe. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, yeah. We've been chatting a lot lately. I was just on your show, and we met. Oh my God, it feels like we've known each other for a long time, but it's only been 2 months.
Yes. We got a lot accomplished in 2 months.
No kidding. Yeah. So just a little background. We met out in Austin at with Joe Stolte's event, Prime, the mastermind that you guys are in. I was speaking there, and then here's Krista, front row, just basically eating it all up, everything clone. And yeah, I've chatted a lot about that here on the show. So we'll circle back. But you are everywhere. I feel like, I feel like you're the content you're putting out there on all the channels. I was just on your podcast, but also you're running events. It feels like every single day, but I know that's not the case. How do you keep up with all this stuff?
Yeah, it's just, you got to make a living. You got to make a buck or two, kind of a deal. I'm obsessed with it. I like it. Like sales and marketing is just, kind of been my thing for a long time. So.
Yeah. Well, not always, right? You started as a teacher in education, right? So.
Yeah. I was a teacher for 6 years, and then I left that. I got into real estate. It was top 1% real estate for 19 years. And then just about 8 years ago, I left real estate completely to be a full-time coach. So I've been coaching, for a while. It was just real estate agents and lenders. And we've just recently, over the past year, changed into the vertical of coaches, consultants, experts, entrepreneurs, teaching them sales and marketing. So I'm using your Delphi, my mind clone, to help me sell that, which has been really awesome, actually.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. Everybody has a different name for it. Mind clone, whatever, digital twin. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing, working with you in the last couple months here in the team, it's like you're expanding what's possible with AI and that clone. But I know you're doing way more with AI, and you're running an event, I think, around that pretty often, right? So
yeah. So I've been doing virtual events for the past 5 years, every single month. And so we will do multiple webinars. Kind of the process is a free webinar, and that will sell a $47 virtual event ticket. And then we sell high ticket on the virtual event. And we've done it every single month for 5 years come January. We haven't missed. And we just, every single month, we optimize, test, or tweak one thing. So we'll test the type of offer, where we send people to, or just something within the event. We'll even change the price at times, or what the bonuses are. And the goal is just to see what moves the needle the most and what doesn't. There's been months where we made, 1 month we made a decision where we had people go directly to a link to purchase. And we found out really quickly that was not a good idea for the price of our ticket. We lost about $900,000 that month because it was a $24,000 offer, and people just needed to speak to somebody. So even though I think we did $367,000 directly to a link,
really,
got him to speak to somebody, but we should have done almost 1.5 million. So it wasn't a very good decision. So we learned, don't do that again. So that's the idea behind testing and tweaking and refining. So now we also do the same type of thing for an AI offer. We teach businesses how to utilize AI and to either enhance their business, be more productive, be more profitable, or to start a new business using AI.
Well, it's I wouldn't call it it's kind of a blue ocean right now, where, it's I know AI is the talk of the town everywhere, but it is evolving so rapidly. But I feel like most people are just so confused. They don't know where to start, let alone build a whole business around it, especially if they're reinventing themselves, right?
Yeah, I think, it's AI can be so confusing. And I think there's a lot of hype about AI, and people are kind of really not being as honest as possible at the stage that we're at right now. That's going to change and evolve very, very quickly. Yeah. But they're utilizing agents or assistants, which are basically just, custom GPTs that can do a lot, right? And then utilizing things like N8N or Lovable, you can kind of put agents together to do quite a bit, but it is a little bit more complicated than most say. And I think, but that's all changing really rapidly if you're following AI. They're talking about truly over the next probably 12 to 18 months, they're going to have agents that can just do so much for you. Right now it's you can have your agent in Canva or booking your appointments and booking flights and stuff like that. But I mean, you know.
It's all that's like pennies compared to like what this thing's going to be doing pretty soon.
Yes.
And like, yeah, it's hard to keep up with it. So I guess I don't want to go like there's like two different directions. Let's start with the AI one, and then I want to go back to the events and like break that down. But like, how do you start with people who might not be as immersed in AI, and like how do you educate them and get them, I guess, comfortable and really indoctrinating that into their business or life so they actually use it properly?
The first thing is just kind of asking them like what they're doing every day. Like what do they do every day all the time, right? And then what their goals are. So a lot of people, they want to build their brand. They want to start, creating content more. They want to market themselves more. And AI is actually excellent for marketing, for sales, because you can really, there's different prompts you can use and different GPTs you can use where you can really identify who your customer is, their hopes, their dreams, their fears, and then you can create content based upon so much more easy, where you can have viral hooks that are created. You can have scripts that are created. Yesterday, I actually, I have a custom bot that I made that can go in and find a different video that you like on, let's just say YouTube. And then it takes that video, and then this bot, so I did one on dog poop. So it was a video on how not to have your dog eat dog poop, because my dog's been eating dog poop. So I took this video and I put it into the custom bot, and then I drag and dropped my client avatar prompt, and I said, create me a video that is for my avatar on what I do and who I serve and how I do it, and create me a beautiful script for YouTube, and there's all the instructions are in the bot. And it took this video that was about dog poop and made me the most amazing video script that was to my avatar about how I teach and what I do and how I serve. It was unbelievable. So things like that are fun for, utilizing, AI. I mean, it's just so much more than that. That's just like the very beginning edge of it. As you know.
You said it's fun, and like that's the piece. I feel like people find AI intimidating, especially if they see how noisy it is, and they're like, oh, do I use ChatGPT? Or now there's like Gemini 3 that just rolled out, so that's like all the rage. And then
but like you can just talk now. So there's like super cool apps out there like Lovable or Abacus or even like Claude Code, where you just talk to it and you say, I want to build this, and here's the buttons that I want, here's the colors that I want, and I want it to be able to do this, and it just starts building it for you just by you talking. And it's and now, as we talked about, like you built an app recently, right? That it even hosts it for you, so you don't have to do anything. I mean, it's just there's so much potential. Like recently I built something, the first time I used this new software, and I would have paid somebody $5,000 for this. It was basically like the constraint bot that I was telling you about. And I was like, I built this in a matter of a weekend, drinking some wine while my husband was racing. And if somebody would have brought that to me and built it for me, I would have paid them $5,000 for it, because I can use it as a lead generation tool.
Jeez. Yeah. What do you use? Like what, I guess like quickly, just very fast, like walk me through.
So for example, like I'm on this podcast with you, right? And so what this app that I built does is it asks people a series of questions, and then it identifies what the constraints are in their business. And then it gives them an action plan of what they need to do to be able to fix those. Like it helps them identify where their gaps are and what they can do to fix it, and gives them like a custom plan for the next 30 days. And that right there is awesome, because it's a lead magnet that's also interactive, and people love quizzes. They like to be identified as something, and it gives them action steps, and it identifies what their weaknesses are. And I can use that when I do a podcast. I can use it, in DMings. I can put it on my website. I can give it to anything, give to students, and it collects their contact information, puts them into my CRM, gives them the information and data. And now all of a sudden I've given them value and they're following me. But I built zero code, zero experience, just by talking to the computer and it building it for me. And it's simple.
Yeah. Well, so was that Lovable?
That was Abacus.
Abacus.
Abacus.ai. ABACUS.ai.
Okay.
And
Abacus.
I don't get anything from people using that. I mean, they don't even, like, it's like they have a $5 or something like the referral. It's like the most lamest affiliate, but it works really, really well.
What you're saying, Krista, there, and I just want to submit this down right now, is like, you just created an app in a night, drinking, having some fun. Your husband is out. What's he race, by the way? I'm just like
BMWs. He does BMWs.
Sweet. All right, so he's on the track racing around doing his fun stuff, and here you are talking to the computer in like probably a couple hours, and boom, you have an app now that You didn't have to pay someone five. I would say that's more like a 10,000
I
plus.
know it is, especially if you see what it was like. Yeah, and we built this thing, and I just built one this past weekend where it is a trip, man. It's like we're helping people identify how to either create a business with AI or how to support their current business. And what it did was it gave all these different industries, and it said like what these industries are weak in, what these industries need, and if you would see it. I was like blown away at what it created for me. And I'm like, wow, now I'm going to use that at my event. And
Absolutely.
it's, yeah. So it's like, you don't have to play with things. You have to play with it. I think people are afraid. And once they start playing with it and they realize how simple it is, it's like they get addicted to it kind of. I'm kind of addicted to it.
That's why I'm like anchoring in. I'm like, this can be fun and it should be play. And like
Yeah.
literally with you doing that, like you mentioned the app that and I'll do a solo episode on how I built the app. It's like this breathwork app. And it's essentially that. Like, had an idea. I was hanging out with the family, went to the hot tub and kind of scoped it all out while I was on ChatGPT. And then boom, went to bolt.new and it was done within 45 minutes
Crazy.
and usable. So like,
And
but
you stick me that app. And I was like, you built this in 45 minutes. Like it's
yeah,
a trip.
yeah. And people love it. I got to push it out to the market and, app store, but whatever. Like that's other stuff.
Yeah.
But the other thing is lead magnet. The fact that you just built an app, so like lead magnets are completely changing
Big
with
time.
AI, like using Abacus, Lovable, Bolt, whatever, Cursor, all these like no code talking tools basically that can just crank something out with a prompt or two.
Yeah.
And
Well, they're kind of saying like lead magnets are getting to a point where they're kind of starting to be dead. And so people are wanting interactive lead magnets. And basically all that is it's just giving people something of value that they can actually interact with, and then it will give them back customized data that really will support, and it seems more personalized. And it again, it's just like having an idea, being able to properly, like what you put into something is what you get out. So properly understanding what it is you want to create, the problem it's going to solve, who it's for, and the benefit they're going to get. And if you can really kind of work with that, then it's easy to build things. And I don't know about you, but what I do is I'll go on to a language learning model, let's just say ChatGPT or Claude, and I'll talk about what it is that I'm trying to do, and I'll have it work through it with me.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, hey, I'm going to be building this in this app. Tell me what I'm not thinking about, what questions I should be asking, and what I can do to make it work better. And by doing that, it saves tokens and points, and it makes the process more streamlined. So before building, do that first.
Talk it through. Yeah. I love using, ChatGPT is good for that. I'm also finding, if you want to dump like a bunch of data, so Gemini 3 just rolled out like days ago now it's probably old news, but like.
I know by the time this podcast is going to be like Gemini 27.
Exactly. So like the point is try different models because they're all different. They're good at different things.
Yeah.
But another little app, and I don't know if you use this, Krista, is called Whisper Flow.
Yes, I actually have it right here. Yes, I have it. FN. And FN.
Oh, yeah, FN. Yeah, your function cap. Yeah.
If you double tap, then you don't need to hold it down.
That's
yeah.
Right. But like everyone, and I was at an event the other day, and I came across Vishen Lakiani from Mind Valley. I was chatting with him, and I saw and I was like, oh, you got the Whisper app, like it's like or Whisper Flow. I'm like, no one should be typing as much anymore. Just
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Whisper, WISPR Flow. It's like weird spelling, but definitely go snag that. That's just a little side note. But I want to go back to actually closing the loop. Can someone go test out that constraint?
Yeah,
thing?
if you look up Krista Mashore, it's a K, and then Mashore is Mashore. Find me on any social, and if you just DM me the word bot, so DM me the word bot, and we'll send you an example of the constraint app / interactive lead magnet that we made, just so you can get an idea of what the possibilities of what AI can do.
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable.
Cool. We'll link that in the show notes too. But go there but use it. It's like, shoot, I want to actually do this thing. So yeah.
And then we'll try to build something, Joe, that they can play with my Delphi, my mind clone for you.
Do it. I love it. We'll link that too. So, and that's why I wanted to get back to the 3-day event model. And I know your mind clone is built within there, but so let's talk through the process again. So just because I want to frame this as this is like a repeatable process. It sounds like the backbone of how you generate leads, the low ticket sales. So you're qualifying people, buyers, that is. And then you're taking them to a 24 plus K offer on the back end. I mean, Can other people replicate what you've done in their
Yeah,
own?
we've actually taught the model. We've had people do over $1 million. We have $600,000 launches, $700,000 launches from people starting. So yes, it's definitely duplicatable. And the cool thing is that now it's like I'm not even there. So the event will run for anywhere from 5 to 8 months, and then my team is there and they're in the chat. But I'm, doing other things, and then I just do it like I said, every 5 to 8 months, depending on what's happening, new things I want to add to optimize it. But even though it's running on the back end, we'll still optimize aspects of it to see like what moves the needle or what doesn't. An example of that is this past, in October, we had like 6 webinars instead of, the normal 4. And we found for whatever reason that our lead quality kind of went down and our show up rate went down, and we didn't know why, but we're still trying to test it. But we'll test different things to see what moves the needle. So we added my mind clone, our Delphi mind clone, into it.
How so?
And how we did that, just to let you know, was because the event was performing so well. We have a live MC, and she's like, "Oh, Krista forgot to mention she has this new mind clone. It's like having Krista in your pocket, and it's an extra bonus that she's offering where you can talk to Krista anytime, and she can walk you through the program." So what we're doing with that is for the first 30 days, we have a 30-day success plan, and the students will get the 30-day mind clone Krista. It's just as everything for the 30 days, right? Oh. Then once they graduate, then we've created a mind clone that has everything and all of our intellectual property. But now we're using one, I'm not sure if it's in use yet, but we're creating one that's just for the event. So now we have all of the event proprietary information uploaded into the mind clone, and people can ask it questions during the event. And why that's so useful is because, there have you heard of the Google's, it's either the 7-11-4 principle or the 11-7-4 principle, which I think it's 7-11-4. Yeah. And it just talks about that people need to consume like 7 hours of your content on 11 different platforms. And I might be saying it reverse. It might be 11-7 or 7-11. It is. It's 7-11. So 7 hours of content, 11 different interactions on 4 different platforms. And so the more interaction people have with you, the more likely they're going to convert. And so the goal is I want to get them, interacting with me as often as possible. And with the mind clone with Delphi, you can it can send reminders, it can send text messages, it remembers what you're talking about, and it will prompt you like, hey, you said you were working on this, how you doing on that, kind of a thing. So it's been fabulous. My students love it. Like they've told me, they've said, Krista, I don't need to call your team anymore. I don't need to wait. Like it's been great.
Does your team love that?
No, my team likes it. Yeah. We're always thinking of new ways. Now we're adding like all the Q&A into it. We're adding all the frequently asked questions that we get. We're adding everything in there so they can it's like ask this first before you come to the team.
That's so good, because that's where I just got to tell the story because it was so great. Like at Joe Stolte's event and Gus's, Prime AI. What's the official name? Is it Elite? Right?
Prime AI.
Yeah. Awesome event. I think you do it quarterly, and I was invited to speak out there on cloning yourself and scaling yourself. And yeah, you're sitting front row. I don't know, it was a 45-minute chat, did a little discussion with Joe Stolte. And Joe's been on the podcast, so if you don't know who Joe is, go back in time, go find him. He's awesome. And here you are. You just like literally ran up and threw your credit card at me. Like before even really knowing what the heck, you're like, got to work with you. And you were front in line. And
I literally just dropped my credit card and said, hey, charge it. I'm going to go eat lunch.
You did.
And then I went and ate lunch, and then people were like asking questions. And I'm like, hey, Joe, you didn't explain this well. Can I clarify? And then I went out and helped Joe sell his Delphi.
You did. It was great. Yeah, you're awesome. And we turned your first version of the clone around, I think it was 7 days. Yeah. You had an event coming up, right?
Yeah. So fast.
Yeah. It was awesome because you were saying like real-time feedback from people. They're like, they were loving this. This clone was basically saying stuff that I said earlier, and I was just too pooped to.
Oh, so let me tell you something cool that happened. So I was doing an event, and it was a fulfillment event for my students, and it was on day 2. At first, I'm tired because it's live and everything. And I was teaching the principle of whenever you're creating content, you want to give as much value as possible, but you want to solve a problem that creates a new one, right? And if you can continually solve a problem that creates a new one, then people are always going to need your services. So one of my students said, can you give me an example? And I was like, honestly, I'm so tired right now. And I said, Jalen goes, Mom, let's talk to your mind clone. So we asked the mind clone, and it like literally verbatim spits out like half the information I already said. And then it gave like all these examples. And I was like, yeah, my mind clone's smarter than me. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. You're not the only one I've seen that happen. It always kind of, it's like nerve-wracking when it's on stage, and like someone puts
Yeah.
like the microphone to it or whatever. And live demos, you never know what it's going to do. But
Yeah.
most of the time, I mean, like a very high percent of the time, it's like perfect. I'm like, oh, thank
It does. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
God. So on the events, so you're doing these every month, and I know I mean, obviously there's a reason why you're doing these all the time. They must be working. So like, what kind of results? Like, what are you seeing from this, and how? Yeah,
Yeah.
how's it look?
So we've been doing this for 5 years, and we've done over $26 million month. So we would literally have all the sales come from the event. Obviously, we have the lead magnets, but the idea is that everything goes to the event. So if we do webinars that are free, and then what we sell in the webinar is a virtual event ticket for $47, which you
That's
might think seems pretty low, but we've tested 27, 47, 67, 97. And what we found is that the quality of the lead, once we go under $47, it kind of tends to go down. And if we go over $100, the quality of the lead doesn't go down, but the cost per lead significantly is higher. So that's why we've settled on the $47 price point. We don't make money. We lose money on getting up to the event, right? So we're
filling
selling
the event. Yeah.
Yeah, we're losing money. So we're obviously we have upsells and all that, and we make anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 on the upsells. We spend about $170,000 a month on the ads, right? And then we also do a lot of organic. But we drive traffic to a webinar. The webinar is free, and then from that we sell a $47 event to a 3-day virtual event.
Gotcha.
That virtual event is I do it live about once every 5 to 8 months, but it plays every single month. And then I'm just not there, 7 out of the 8 months. If we do it for 8, I'm just there once, but my team is there live. And on that event, we sell a $20,000 pay in full high ticket package or a $24,000 payment package over a year. And so yes, it definitely works. Like it works really. I have one of my avatars is real estate agents, and they're struggling right now. But
Yeah,
it
no,
works.
it's such a cool model, and it's scalable. It's something that you can, perfect really well, and you're always obviously getting feedback, right, from your team. I mean, now from the clone as well, you can
Yeah.
capture a lot of feedback. And then you're hopping in there every 4 or 5 months or whatever it was, and refreshing it, it seems like. And then that goes into this whole automated flow again for your team and systems to manage. I mean, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And
Like I'll give you an example. This month, what we changed. This
yeah.
month we changed. I jumped on because I was watching other marketers, and they're doing like additional bonus days, and they're doing Q&A, and I was like, okay, these are pretty smart marketers. I'm going to do it. So we did a Q&A on the second day and the third day that was live, where after the event, I jumped on for an hour, answered questions after the offer. So some questions are about the offer, some were about the program, some were about marketing. And so I did that on day 2 and day 3, which I hadn't done for years, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And we found like we're testing now to see was that a good move or a bad move. But the idea is that you're always trying to optimize, right?
I'm kind of like thinking about, you mentioned a lot of real estate agents, and that was kind of, I wouldn't say it's your past, but like you sold a bunch of homes. That was kind of like what you did. How's it been changing this audience, and like, are there struggles there? What have you learned? And
Yeah, it's definite struggles, right? Because I've been known as the real estate person for so long,
yeah,
and I don't think you should ever change. You should like having one niche and being really super hyper specific. It is, I think that's obviously how is that's how you really scale and do really really well. So I would never recommend going to a larger audience until you've mastered one and really are known, because it's like speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. We all know that, and the more that you speak directly to someone, the more you will convert, right? So, but after 7 years of doing really well, we're like, okay, I'm ready to kind of venture out, and I've just learned so much from hiring just every single coaching consultant you can imagine in all the different sales and marketing strategies, that now we're going out. It's been harder because I have to figure out, okay, how can I speak more to entrepreneurs but still not lose real estate agents? And so now I'm kind of creating double content and doing all that. So it's been hard.
I could see that. And I mean, something I picked up from you, and obviously, like you mentioned, when I was speaking to the group and the offer and all that, you're like, hey, here's how I clarify it, blah, blah, blah. Is that something you teach? And have you learned that through mistakes over time, like testing this to a new audience as well?
It is definitely so. I've learned to do this just from like watching so many different events. So I'll go to events and I'll study the event. Like, what did they do well? Like, what was their offer? Like, and events that have nothing to do with real estate or to do with AI or anything that I'm selling now, right? Just events to see like the structure of the event, right? Like I recently just paid, $5,000 to go to a 3-day event, and then I paid $12,000 to actually join the program just to learn how the program was, to see how I could improve mine, if that makes
Cool.
sense.
Yeah, I get
So I'm
you.
I'm very much a student at heart. But it's constant, like you're constantly learning and just testing and tweaking is
Yeah.
what it is, right? And so, like, for example, we started out with 18,000, then we went to 20,000, then we went to 24,000, and when we hit the $27,000 mark, our conversions drastically stopped. So we realized that with our avatar, 24K is kind of our limit for real estate, right? But the event is a conversion event. So remember, time on brand. The more time that I can get them to believe that they can do it. So the goal is to get them to believe that it will work for them. And you do that by having them do things like, I'm next, I can do this. And you do it by seeing tons of testimonials from different types of people. So for every excuse that they would have, they're seeing testimonials throughout the entire event, case studies, success stories, for all the objections that they will have internally of why they can't do it, right? They're too young, they're too old, they're too new in the business. So it's like all that's being done. So believing that they can do it is part of what the event helps them do. Also understanding that the vehicle, what we're teaching, right, is what they need to get the results. There's tons of ways that we do that by, showing how different what we're teaching is to what they're being taught, and then explaining why. So you're constantly doing that throughout the event. And then lastly, getting them to understand that they really do need your help to get there. And I believe that wholeheartedly, because it's, you can, especially now with MindClone and Google and ChatGPT and all these things, all the information's out there. But what people are missing is the accountability and the support to actually take this idea or this strategy to life. And I think that is the biggest thing that most people are missing in success, is they don't surround themselves with the right people. They don't have the support and the help to get them over the finish line. Because you come up to, I don't care how big the blueprint is or the course is or how great it is, it's like you need help sometimes.
Yeah. No, like what you just said there, I think the belief part is like probably the biggest hurdle for people to get over, is like, am I good enough? Am I ready for this? And then, yeah, of course, then they see the thing, and then they're trying to kind of, okay, like now we kind of got through that hurdle. Here's what I got for you. And now here's why Krista and her team are the people, the guides that you need at this point in your life.
Yeah.
And without the human, because that's the thing, you brought up a perfect point, because like a clone would never replace the human. That's that's the very first thing I always, from the very beginning, I'm like, no, this scales the human. So it allows Krista or me or whoever's listening, that might clone themselves, to be more available, or to be that human side of things, where, yeah, the other one is great with information and maybe pinging you, and keeping you engaged, but you still need to have that human connection throughout.
The clone too is good for people that aren't ready to like take action yet, right? They're like,
That's
I'm
right.
not ready to do this. But once they get more exposure to you, and once they hear you, where they're like, wow, this is awesome. Imagine if I actually had the help and was in the group and got the thing and did it. Another thing about the event, and this, I know you know this, Joe, is that you have to, and the reason why we did it, when we first did this, we did it 18 months in a row live every month. And then I would listen to the comments. I would see the objections. I would see like when people were kind of like unsure, and I realized I need to change that teaching, or they'd say, well, this worked because of this. And so I knew I needed to answer those questions before somebody would ask. So you have to really understand, like, what are people's objections? Objections for themselves internally, objections for the actual vehicle, objections to like even you're helping them. You need to know all of that, and you need to put it into the training and the coaching as early as you can. Because if somebody has an objection and thinks, well, this won't work for me because I live in a small town, then they're missing 90% of what you're saying, because their belief is, oh, it won't work for me because I live in a small town. So you have to know what the objections, the concerns that people are having about internal belief, external beliefs, the vehicle, and you, so that you can address those early on throughout the event over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest mistakes that I see marketers make is that they don't do that, right? Like, for example, you're taught, well, price marinade, have 100,000 up there, and they'll say, oh, I charged somebody $100,000 for this thing. And they'll say it one time, but they don't relate it 20 other times throughout the 3 days. And you have to, it's got to be a constant thing, because people lose belief, especially in themselves, very, very quickly.
Yeah, if it's not aligned with wherever they're at in their lives, they're just not going to listen to the rest. They're checking out. They probably won't show up to the rest of the, the event that you're put all this energy into.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I'm sure with your process, you're probably doing that even before the 3 day event,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
All the time. You're doing it during the webinar. You're doing it with the emails. You're doing it with all of it. Yeah.
cool. Well, to wrap it up, well, first of all, let's point them to whatever next step you think, like in the Krista world,
Yeah. If you
the
just look
world
me
that
up
you
on
create.
socials, Krista Mashore, again with Mashore. And if you want like access to see like our constraint bot, and then we'll start, following you and or vice versa. You just DM me the word bot, BOT. Just DM me the word bot, and we'll send you an example of the constraint bot. You can get an idea of what AI is capable of. You can also understand where your constraint is in your business. What level of the sales cycle it is. Sales, marketing, lead generation, lead nurture, conversion, or like refer, retain, resell, and then we will tell you what to do to fix it, and that will help.
I like it. Well, Chris, I'm always curious, like, what are you most interested in the next, let's say, year? Like, what's the new frontier that you have ahead of you that you're just stoked about that you can't
Yeah,
wait
I
to
think
share?
it's really like, I've been really studying AI for like about 3 years now. I've had like, gosh, I have 2 coaches right now that I'm working with, and I'm continuing to just become an expert myself in it and just learn it as much as I can. I think that is my passion right now, is really getting people to understand how to utilize AI to make more money, to save time, and also to create like a side hustle or a new business with AI,
Yeah.
because it's just unbelievable the opportunities that are out there. I mean, it's just crazy, Joe. Like, and
Yeah.
so many people I think we think that everyone knows about it and that it's easy because it's in our world, but so many people don't. And most people are just using these language learning models like a Google search. And it's so much more than that. And it doesn't need to be scary or hard. It's very easy if you'll
Yeah.
just take the time, to learn.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like you can start with Google search, but don't stay there because
Yeah.
like that is just scratching the surface, just barely. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, go follow Krista on the AI stuff too, because I know you have some events around that, and yeah, so appreciate your time so much, Krista.
Thanks for
It's been
having
so
me.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I gotta say, like, if you guys are interested in using Joe to help you with Delphi, he has been insanely helpful. I mean, and it really does work. We're in the Prime Mastermind, and it's funny
Mhm.
because a couple people were just talking like, I just got this deal because of my Delphi, because they were talking to it, they wanted more. I mean, it just happened in on our Tuesday call. So
Oh, really?
yeah, it really works, and you also great customer service. You go above and beyond, and I'm like, I mean that. I've told you that. Like, I have taken so many trainings, so many things, and your customer service has been just fabulous, as well as like your brain around how to use it to make more money,
Mm,
save more time, and kind of accomplish what you want.
thank you. That's so cool, Krista. You rock. So,
Thanks, Joe.
all right, have a great one. We'll chat soon.